Creatine will definitely do two things. It will increase muscle size and it will increase muscle strength. But a lot of people still have questions about creatine. Is it safe to take? Are there any side effects? Well, we're going to find out. I'm going to see if I notice a change in my body after 7 days of creatine loading. Creatine loading refers to taking around 20 grams per day for 7 days to achieve muscle saturation faster. Now, I haven't loaded creatine in about 10 years, so this shall be interesting. So day one of the creatine now. I have had creatine before in the past, obviously, I've had it. I loaded it in the early days when I was like 17, but I loaded everything else too. I got fat as hell, I loaded all the calories, and I didn't really know what was working because my training wasn't good, my diet wasn't consistent. But now, I've never actually loaded it in the past 5 years, so I'm genuinely interested to try. This is 5 grams of creatine, and we're gonna be having 10 in one serve, and then I'll have another 10 later. So 20 grams, that's the current weight up there, fasted. And today we're gonna train some chest, so it's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna keep my diet exactly the same. I'm just gonna train off one meal, and then we're gonna train chest in 1 week's time and see what the difference is. Trying to minimize variable changes, just to see if we can notice the effects of just the creatine. So a couple things to note. I will be drinking a lot of water as we do this because creatine requires water to saturate the muscles and actually do its job. So make sure you're hydrated, otherwise you're gonna get headaches and it's gonna suck balls. So day one of creatine.
I feel like EHP Labs one isn't sandy. You know how some are? It's like nice and powdery. You can actually
True, it's
mix
very
it.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get this, use code ZAC10 as well. And add this to your pride, that's an easy one. It looks like cum. It looks like a glass of semen. Start your day off right. So pre-workout meal, this is a very convenient, quick go-to if you don't want to have oats. It's rice pudding, like creamy rice. So this has gone through the effort of making ours. How'd you do it?
Creamy rice, hot water. Put it in the microwave. Stir it. Protein powder. Cut up apple. Then you put a dollop of yogurt and some honey.
A dollop, and that's what we got. Nice fast-acting carb source. We have no steak in the house. That was going to be my breakfast, so I have to have this, which is fine because it tastes great. Okay, so testing bench. We're going to go about 2 to 3 minutes in between sets. I'm going to say 3 minutes on my heavy lifts to make sure the rest is equated for next week when we do it. Starting with 70, then we're going to 110, and we're doing this in sets of 3. Just so I don't fatigue too quickly, as a decent test to actually get some legitimate numbers up there. Haven't done this. Scary.
Stronger than ever. It's wartime. Look, in due time, just one try to get it right. Bright lights hit your eyes, it's showtime.
I still didn't want to break form and bang it around a bit, so I still tried to keep it controlled. But it just felt fucking heavy. When you're not used to training like that, it's hard. I'm a bit scared that in a week's time I have to revisit this and try to get 4, but I guarantee if I went for 4 then, I would still be on that bench right now. I got a spot and I just made it, so I'm happy with that. I think the creatine's kicked in. So to talk through some of the side effects, myths, and actually the mechanisms of creatine, I thought I want to get an expert on here. So who better than Derek from More Plates, More Dates? So I've never met Derek, never spoken to him, but huge fan of his content. I think he's done amazing work in the industry. So he was the first person and he kindly accepted. Now, before we hear from Derek, I just want to give a quick shout out to the comfiest brand of loungewear, my brand, Slouch Potatoes. So guys, you could be wearing this right now. And you guys, if you've never tried this before, new customers get 20% off your first order with the code BALD. That's 20% off. Whoa, what happened to your head?
I started taking creatine
When?
this morning. Is it bad?
No, it looks good. Suits your head.
Okay. What's the 20% off code for them?
BALD. 20% off code is BALD. Back to the video. What is your opinion on the optimal dose of creatine versus the recommended like 3 to 5 grams that the industry just tells you?
I think widely it is generally applicable that most people, if they are sustaining daily use of 3 to 5 grams, they will get to a saturation point of phosphocreatine that will allow them to reap benefits from it. But there is certainly nuance when it comes to the dose where genetic predispositions, muscle mass, body weight, activity levels will dictate what your optimal dose is. And I think a lot of people could be selling themselves short. I wouldn't say that the majority of people are going to get massive benefit from going up, but I've seen, like, this is literature reinforced too, not just anecdotal. Like, some people do need 10 plus grams per day to reap maximum effect. And some people in clinical populations need upwards of 30, which is super rare. But
Really?
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
shit. Loading every
Yeah.
day. Just
Yeah, basically. Yeah. That's super rare though, by the way. Don't
Yeah,
think
yeah,
and
yeah.
run with it and be
But
like,
that's
yeah.
interesting.
But
Okay.
things to be mindful of though too. It's like GI distress is notable, and the higher the dose you go could be fairly I don't know, distressing for certain individuals. And that's where if you know, splitting it up, if you're going to be on a longer term, like high dose protocol, and also hydration status, I think a lot of people are on the correct dose maybe, but they aren't drinking enough water and hydrating themselves correctly, so they're not even getting the effect they want out of the dose they're using that might otherwise be adequate. So
Yeah.
there's that as well.
Okay. So if you're deficient in creatine as well, the brain can suffer a bit too. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. Like it's although most people are aware of its kind of like muscle volumizing effect through the osmosis, it also does facilitate an increase in ATP, which is like directly usable energy. So in your brain, for example, if you are somebody who's genetically, I don't know, you have a predisposition and you have a creatine deficiency, you could have less, I don't know, but actual usable ATP that would support brain health than the next guy. So for some individuals, supplementing could be useful not just from a performance standpoint, but from a neurological support standpoint too.
That's cool. Okay. Yeah, I only just heard about that like literally a couple months ago. I never knew that it even helped. I was just thought it was just a jack dude's thing. So that's cool. Where did the creatine and hair loss come from? Like, is there any validity behind that, or is that just kind of like exaggeration and fear?
Yeah, similar to how no one could say for certain that it exacerbates it and makes it worse. No one could also say it doesn't because there's no like fully fleshing it out. Like there's no, I guess it depends like how you take the literature and then extrapolate out. Well, no one has assessed and conclusively found this, but there's like hordes of anecdotes of increased shedding. So what is the secret? Like what is the truth on it? The main study everyone kind of points to is this like rugby player study where they had people, I think they were loading for, I have the study up here. They loaded for a week, I think, and then they used a maintenance dose for another 2 weeks. And
They all
let's
went
see.
bald at the end.
What happens when you have testosterone? It can do numerous things in terms of its metabolism. And two of the main things it can do is aromatize into estrogen or 5-alpha reduce into dihydrotestosterone DHT. So in this study in particular, we see the guys who took creatine, they have a notable bump in their DHT levels, but their testosterone levels do not change significantly to like proportionally to a point that it makes you wonder, okay, if I saw the estrogen levels on paper, is there like a partitioning towards the DHT pathway when you take creatine and it's otherwise preventing it from aromatizing into estrogen as much? Because how else would you account for the fact that the testosterone levels are not necessarily changing significantly, but the DHT levels disproportionately are escalating? And I would have to revisit and flesh out the study in like way more detail to give an informed conclusion on the data set. But
Yes. Okay.
from what I recall off the top of my head, it was just like no conclusion as to if it for sure increases DHT, but if it does, it's not something that you could conclusively say causes hair loss, although we know DHT is the main thing that regulates hair loss in those who are susceptible. So with
Right.
creatine, I think what is happening at most is potentially just pushing you closer to the if I'm prone, it could happen side of things because of the upregulation in DHT.
Mhm.
Similarly, through medications or whatever, if you cared about this stuff, you can nudge yourself back in the other direction too if you really wanted
Yes.
to.
Okay.
So conclusively, sorry for the long-winded answer, but I think it's not going to cause it. I think it could budge you in that territory though, potentially.
That's perfect. That's interesting because I wasn't sure if it was like an absolute myth or if it was kind of questionable and still up in the air when people don't really know. And that's where it seems like it's kind of at
Yeah, honestly, if this is a supplement you're going to use for your entire life and it's going to like freak you out for years while you're taking it, like has this been screwing me? Has it not been? Like it's probably worth it to just pay a couple $100
so
for the
true.
test.
Yeah.
So the general consensus is that 5 grams of creatine per day should be enough, but some people might need more, which is interesting. So maybe it might be worth trying 10 grams or more, especially if you've done 5 before. See if you can notice a difference in that. One thing I'm trying to remember throughout this whole period is to just keep up the water because hydration has been suffering lately. Last couple of days, I've had a couple of headaches and I've just been thirsty as all hell and I forget to drink. So I like pretty much deserve to die at that point. If you forget to drink, not good on that front, but I'm trying. This is day 4 now. Weight has finally stabilized. It went up about 800 grams and then now it's kind of hovering again. So we'll see what happens over the next few days.
So now I've trained every body part exactly once, and we are back to chest day, and we're gonna see if there's any difference in my strength after 7 days of creatine loading.
Last time I did this, I thought I got 150 kilo bench.
150 for 3.
And I didn't, it was actually 140. I put out a whole TikTok video telling everyone I benched 150, and they're like, yeah, awesome, but it was 140. Had to delete it, edit it, take it down. But really the only thing that was damaged was my ego. So today, look, I'd love to give actual real 150 a crack. This is probably a fucking cake mixer. Also, this is the new Jungle Fruits Pride flavor, which is seriously good. These two, Zactan, you guys already know. Now, let's see if I can actually lift some decent weight. Feels a bit stiff today.
You haven't trained in a while.
Eight, 2, 1. 30 for 3. I'm gonna go 150 for 3. It's fucking go time. 150. For reals. Check it. Check the mats. Now I just gotta lift it. All right. Let's go.
That was great.
Longest rev of my life, thanks man. It was a lot harder than my set last week though. So, technically, my bench went up by 10 kilos. Technically, but to be fair, I should have just done the 140. I got too excited. I'm sorry. Maybe last time if I had have attempted 150, I could have done it like maybe 2 or maybe 3, who knows? So this time, I don't know. Who knows really what happened? It was kind of just a fun little thing.
So what I learned from this video, is there any merit in loading? I think yes, just to see if you can notice the effect of higher creatine. So maybe that's just a better means of gauging the right optimal dose for you. So I think we can kind of abandon the 3 to 5 grams of a daily dose and think more, how big are you? How much do you actually need? How much are you absorbing from what you're taking? Maybe let's try push it a little bit more. Do you getting too many side effects, any GI distress? Maybe we cut it back a bit. Are you struggling to drink water? We'll do better. I think is probably the point there. So interestingly, what I think from this is maybe we should be having a little bit more than what we think is industry standard or normal. So maybe try a little bit more, see if you notice the effects. If you are concerned about that potential increase in DHT or tipping over to the edge of male pattern baldness, if you're already inclined, get your bloods done and then see if there's any long-lasting effects. In my opinion, I don't think it's a big issue. I think it's a bit more overly inflated and like fear-mongering. I don't think it's actually anything to worry about personally. If you are concerned, just get a blood test and you guys can deal with that. So that is it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Can you stop barking? Oh my god, this fucking dog. I'm trying to do an outro. Dude, shut up. I'm gonna have to end it here because she's not gonna let me finish. So guys, subscribe to the channel, like this video, buy some slashed potato. Oh my god. Fucking shut up. Hang on a second. Oh, I was gonna say, buy some slashed potato. Code is bald for 20% off. You won't regret it, guys. That is it. I'll see you next time. Stay. Slide into your DMs in the PM and the AM. Then I slide into your feelings when you see just what I'm saying.